What's up YouTube? My name's Quickie, welcome back to the channel. Oh, you're joking. Mr. Man. I've been waiting for him to go and he wouldn't. And then as soon as I decide I'm doing it, then he leaves. Yes, I'm working on a van, not a bike. And I do hate vans, it has to be said. I think the only good van is a van that you use it to go and get your next project bike. But it all needs doing. It needs to get through its MOT. Are you gonna come out now? Are you? Yes. Awesome. What are we doing here? Apparently the indicator bulb is not yellow enough. It needs a new one. What's wrong with that? That's no different to the one that I'm putting in it. It's no different. What are you on about not yellow enough? Tell me the difference. I don't know. Right, anyway, this is not a video on how to fix your van and get it back through its MOT. This is basically going to be an update on ASBO. I've got some bits and pieces that's turned up that I wanted to share with you. Not everything's here, I'm still waiting on stuff. But, you know, we're sort of starting to put a bit of a dink in it, really. So, whilst I'm doing all this, we'll have a yap and I'll tell you where we are. And what's happening? Come on, go on. You came off. Oh, I hate vans. Right, it is looking a little bit dark and dingy in here. I've got the lights on, but you can't really tell. That is because it is about to chuck it down. Like massively, massively chuck it down. Of course it would be, because I'm grubbing about underneath the van. There's a big puddle out there with my name on it. I've got to lay in that later to get the suspension sorted unless Jack rocks up. Because then I can hopefully use his lift. I need to have a tidy up, don't I? Tell you what, let me clear the bench, and then we'll get some stuff out and I'll show you what's turned up, hey? Ideal. Right, so some of this you've already seen. This is the Dynajet kit. Stop moving. What moved? Right, yeah. Okay, so some of this we've already spoken about. This is the Dynajet kit. We're going to be running pod filters on this. I've been grubbing about trying to find a set of dual pod, two filters. So each filter goes over 2 carbs. I'm having a hell of a job finding stuff, but this is the Dynajet kit we're going to be running with it, just to allow me to run the pod filters. It is going to be a video in its own right, because there's been loads and loads and loads of people that's been getting in touch going, go on then, how does it work? What is it? Where'd you get it from? How much is it? Blah, blah, blah. I'm going to cover it off in a video, so we'll do the fitting of it and everything else. And that's going to be one of the last things that we do before we actually go and stick it on the dyno. But then we'll be able to run it up and get some proper numbers against it and see, is it rich, is it lean, is there a flat spot in it, all that sort of stuff. The engine, I did learn from doing the ZZR, he's not going to be rebuilt and then stuck on the dyno. He's going to be dynoed as he is, because he was a good strong engine. But, you know, so that's coming, but it's going to be a separate thing. This one turned up the other day. The brakes discs on these is horrible, like properly horrible, and they need to be replaced. So I've got myself a set of brake discs. I can't remember what brand they are. But that's what we're going with. What did it say? There isn't a brand on it. There isn't a brand on it, but it's full floating, you know, jobbies. They look quite nice. They'll look the part on it. These are to fit a Triumph Daytona 955i front end, but they also do a rear disc, which is the same pattern, you know, the same design to fit the 1200 Bandit rear. So I've got one of them coming, but it ain't got here yet. I need to give them a chase up because they was ordered at the same time. And these have been here about a week now, or just under a week. So we've got two of them for the front, 320mm discs, which is nice. A lot better than the scabby stuff that's on there at the minute. Then what we got here? Oh yeah, this is the rear brake master cylinder, I think. I think it is. That's what it feels like. You know, like Christmas time when you're squidging all your presents trying to figure out what you got. I'm getting really good at that. Yes, it is. So I went for one of these. Steve-O was going to have one of these on the back of his bike on Jixit. And he got one, and I really quite like the look of it. But rather than having like a separate reservoir and everything else, this one is all built in. So the coating's not amazing on it, but that is probably going to get powder coated again anyway. But that's it. So it's a tiny little thing. You've got the reservoir at the top, so all that lot there's your reservoir with the fill hole there. But I like it because it's all, you know, it's just a really small unit that you can hook in and jobs are good. Probably going to be running a hydraulic brake switch on this as well. People go on, oh, don't do that, I've had no end of trouble. Well, pretty much every bike I've had since the SP1, which is probably 7 or 8 bikes, I've always fitted a hydraulic brake switch, just because it's a neat and tidy solution and blah blah blah, and I've never ever once had an issue with them. So that's what's going to be running up on this one. It just means shoving a double banjo in the top of it, so, but that's, you know, that's no biggie, there's loads of room. That'll all be fine. And this was bought on a bit of a whim. I'm not sure I'm going to use it. I don't know. But it's kind of in keeping with the old style. I'm not sure if it's vented or not. I think it is, it should be. But we'll have a look see. So I got one of these little flippy up fillet jobbies, look. It's quite nice actually. Little bit old school. No, there's no keys needed. I'm not building a production bike. This is a project bike. It's all sprung, so it should be vented, which is cool. Essentially, there's like this collar. Come on. There's this collar that you can weld into the top of the tank. So I'll need to make an insert for that. There's all O-rings and everything else in there, and then this just screws on the top of it basically. I just thought it would be a little bit more in keeping with the sort of style bike that I'm trying to build. And the picture in my head, it definitely had one of these on it. It wasn't like a modern jobby with a key that you stick in and blah 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 blah. So people are probably going to go off on one about, oh, you need to have a key in it, people are siphoning your tank and all that sort of rubbish. Well, I don't know, I'm still undecided. I really do like the look of it though. I do like the look of it. So we might be doing that. There's a few little marks and stuff on it. So it will get the shiznick polished out of it, but I quite like that. So we might be sticking it on as well. So that's all that's turned up at the minute. I've ordered a full set of gaskets for the engine. I haven't gone bearings yet because until I know what colour shell bearings and all that lot, there is no point. I need to get in and pull everything apart, and then once I've got the bearings in my hand, I can see what I'm actually dealing with, and then I can source some, you know, all the case bearings and all that sort of stuff as well. So that's what we've got there at the minute so far, but there is still an awful lot of other stuff to get. I've already had a chat with Simon Rolls about the rear shock, because he could basically have that now, really. I mean, he could like spank it up and make it look lovely. He's going to do a full service on it, but I want everything like repowder coated and all that, so basically it looks like new. It's got to look like new, basically. So he's on about getting that. I think he's going to be down in Plymouth in the next couple of weeks, so we'll grab it then, and I'll just shove a piece of steel bar in there or something in the meanwhile, just to mimic a shock. I don't really care, as long as it works, as long as it keeps the back end up, that's fine. We will of course need that for the dyno run, but you know, when he gets a chance to come and grab it, he can come and grab it. What else was there? Oh yeah, so I was chatting with him the other day, and he said, do you want me to do a suspension setup for whoever wins the bike in the end? And it's like, mate, that would be mega. It does make a world of difference if your bike is set up properly, like massively. You know, it changes, well, it's an all right sort of bike into something you can actually grab by the scruff of the neck and have some fun with. So if whoever wins the bike, once it's all done and dusted and we've pulled a name and all that stuff, if they want to come down here and pick it up, we can shoot the breeze and drink loads of coffee and everything else. We'll arrange for Simon Rolls to be down on a, you know, do it as like a mutually okay day. We get Simon Rolls down here and he'll do a proper suspension setup for you as well. That would be mega. That would be really good, actually. So we ain't got loads of bits yet, it has to be said. But I am waiting on other stuff to come in. So this video is probably not going to be a massively long one, because I already know the plans that I've got. I already know what I'm doing. I've sorted all that stuff out. I just need to crack on and get it done, basically. But today I do need to get on with the van. Today's Tuesday. I'm back in work again tomorrow, and then I've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday in here. So the van's good. I don't know when it's going to get MOT'd. Matey boy was talking about doing it at the weekend, so if that's the case, then the van will be back on the road next week, and the ZZR will be off the road next week. Just so I'm, you know, I'm not killing it, basically. Pum pum pum. If I can, well, even if I get the van done today, if Jack rocks up and I can use his set of ramps to get underneath the thing instead of sitting in a puddle doing suspension, that's going to be a massive help, and it'll be a lot nicer as well. But if I can crack on and get the van sorted so it's ready for MOT, then, you know, and I don't need Thursday, Friday to do it. I'm still going to take the time off, and I'm just going to get on with ASBO, I think. Just because I want to push with it, I want to get it done, I want to get stuff sorted. And if I can at least get all the exhaust buttoned up so I'm happy with how it sits and it looks right and all that sort of stuff, then it'll be good. Before I finish off the back bit of the exhaust, I do need to set the foot height, the footrest positions. It was just a pure guess, sort of somewhere in line with the swing arm sort of position. There is going to be a seat on it, so it is going to raise you up. But what I'm thinking of doing is setting it so it's comfortable for me, because I've got quite long legs. I'm basically 6'1", and I do have quite long legs. So if I set it as comfortable for me, then I can get the exhaust so it follows it nicely, and you know, it's all tucked in and it's not sticking out and all that sort of stuff. So that's what I'm going to do. There was a few people that mentioned that. Could I not have my knees in my armpits, please? So yeah, you won't. They'll all be fine. But that's the plan. So I'm hoping today, tomorrow, I can get the van done, like as in totally finished and ready. That would be cool. I've got the whole day in here today, and then I'll be back in here tomorrow morning before I go to my work. So, you know, that'll give me like 3 days of playing about on ASBO, basically, which I should be able to get a fair amount done. The week after that, when I go back to work, I'm on 12-hour shifts. So I'm not going to get much chance in here during the week, if I'm honest. Basically, I'll be doing from 11 till 11, so 11 AM to 11 PM. The reason for that is there's some training and stuff that I need to go through just so I can get signed off. It's been a long time coming, so I really don't want to delay it or put it off, so I've got to get that done. But it does mean, you know, 12-hour days for a week, and you know, we'll see what's what. If I can get in the mornings, I will do. Long days aren't really an issue, but it's the travelling between. It just, like, more time just disappears. So that's it really. Few bits and bobs turned up. Let me know what you think about that fuel filler cap. I really like them. I do, I really like them, and I think it's going to really suit the bike. I know it doesn't have a key in it, but this isn't like a production bike, it's a custom bike. It's going to be different. But I do like it. If I don't use it on this, because everybody goes, no, I don't want it, I hate it, get rid. I don't care, I'll just use it on a bike that I keep, because I do like them. I do like them a lot. So yeah, there you go. I've got a massively stupid busy couple of weeks, but for now I need to crack on with the van. As far as people chipping in, going in, we've had about another 60 quid come in. So I think the budget is basically there, if I'm honest. So just over 2k. There's been an awful lot that's gone into this bike, but an awful lot of it was kind of the R&D side of stuff. You know, I had to make a frame jig just to remake the frame because it didn't like the breakaway, which, all right, is probably a bit of a stupid thing to do. But it does sort of set things up for the future. I've also been chewing around ideas on what I'm doing with the SRAD. That's going to be cool. I'm itching to get stuck into that one. But you just have to wait and see. All that lot is coming. For now, this is it. This is what we're doing. £2,000 sounds like a lot of money. It does. Well, it is a lot of money, actually. If you've got to save up £2,000, it's going to take you a while. But it's not as far as a budget, you know, as far as a budget for a full-on custom bike like this goes. It's amazing how much it costs. We will go through and do a costing once the project is all done and dusted and finished. But there's an awful, it's quite weird actually, because you have to sort of draw a line between that's for the project and that's that end. So there's loads of tooling, for example. Any money I get out of YouTube doesn't go in my pocket. It just goes into tooling so I can do more and make more stuff for the bike. So there is loads of stuff that I've got. You know, just like the rounding bits and stuff for, you know, for the mill, for doing the yokes, and, you know, just stuff like that. Grinding discs, cutting discs, abrasive wheels, just, you know, all sorts of things. All the consumables, they really do mount up. So it's going to be quite awkward to draw a line between, all right, this is how much I've spent. I know how much I have spent in total, and it is just a rude amount of money. But then there's also assuming that you had all that tooling, and I already had a frame jig, and a fabrication table, and various other bits and pieces. How much would it cost just to take a Bandit and turn it into that? Assuming that you've got all that other stuff, you know, tube benders and blah, blah, blah. It's still quite a surprising amount of money. This one was always going to be the expensive one. I knew that from day one, purely because I didn't have all the tooling that I needed to do it. But now we've got all the tooling, the next one should be a bit cheaper, I'm hoping, but turn out just as lovely, and it is going to be a cracker. So that's it. There's not a massive amount of stuff that's turned up. I really wanted there to be more, but they're in. That's what you got. So anyway, what's the plans? Well, speaking with Crispy, well, I need to get the exhaust finished, obviously, but we're going to need to decide where the final foot peg is going to land on this. To start off with, I'm just going to put some tabs onto the frame, and this is just going to get bolted to it. I don't really care where they are. However, they're going to be in a position so I can make a proper set where that lands where I want it to, and all the exhaust clears it. So I'll sit on it. It's going to be set for me, but I've got quite long legs anyway. And then that will just get bolted to it, and Crispy will have to put up with it for the dyno run. He's going to need something to sit on. So I need to start thinking about what I'm going to do with the seat and the under tray and all that sort of stuff. We need to install the Dynojet kit. Pod filters, I'm been thinking about it, and I can't find any nice dual pod filters. But Piper do a nice set of offset dropped ones. So essentially, if there's the carb opening, yeah, the pod filter kind of sits sort of down a bit. It's not central to it. I have got a set of just like normal cone filters, you know, pod filter jobbies. I suppose we could run it up on both of them and see what the difference is. But I think just from that shape of the frame there, those little offset pod filters would actually look really, really good. So I'm probably going to get a set of those ordered, and that's what we'll be running. They're foam filters, but we used to run foam filters on all the race bikes and stuff anyway. So, you know, it should be fine. We'll find out when it goes on a dyno. Other stuff he's going to need for the dyno is obviously the clutch cable and the clutch, you know, all that lot working and whatnot. We need a throttle on it, so cables for that. We need a kill switch on it and a basic wiring loom just to run the engine. Coils need to go on, battery needs to be located, stuff like that basically. And what I don't want to do is make a temporary thing just to run it through a dyno and then I have to take that off, chuck it in the bin and make a proper one for the finished bike. If I'm making it, it's going to be for the finished bike. Because else what's the point? There just isn't, is there? So we get that lot done and we should be able to stick it on the dyno. We should. And Crispy is well up for putting some testing into it. So I need to see if those Black Widow headers are going to clear the frame, because those ones did get extended. Because this is all kind of a bit of a homebrew thing, I don't know if those headers are going to fit into that collector, so I do need to offer it up and check stuff. But you know, we'll just sort of see how we go, I suppose. When there's not a lot else I can do, is there? But there's definitely a few things that has a certain order in which they need to get done in order to get this to the dyno, so that's just what I'm doing. That's the plan. So anyway, it's not a massive one by way of an update, but at least you can see stuff is starting to come in. All the names that's appeared on the, I'm not sure, is it there or is it there? I think it's up here. All these names that's been appearing up here, these are all people that have been chipping in to support the build, and one of them is going to be winning the bike. If your name hasn't appeared on there, the only reason is that, you know, you've chipped your name in after I've filmed all this and I'm into the editing. I've got a template I just drop footage into and it kind of puts everybody's name in. So if your name hasn't appeared on this one, it will be on the next one. And you know, one of those people is going to end up with a killer bike, I'm hoping, by the end of this. But we'll see. So thank you very much for watching. Do hope you're staying safe, and we'll see you on the next one. Laters! Now I've got to finish that bloody van.